Welcome to the Offload podcast. Some exciting news. Dunners, the pod's now brought to you by Ballygowan.
Good on you, Ballygowan. Yes, we are delighted to work with Ireland's #1 branded water. Ballygowan is 100% Irish and bottled at source in Newcastle West in Limerick. Go on, Limerick. Go by the kid.
Did you know Ballygowan is a natural mineral water, and it's this unique mineral profile that is fundamental to the taste?
Wow, amazing. I didn't know that. Did you know Ballygowan is also the proud sponsor of the IRFU and the official water partner of Irish Rugby?
Well, we know better than anyone. Hydration is one of the most essential components of elite sport.
Very true, Tommy boy. But it's also important that we all drink enough water. So why don't you grab yourself a bottle of Ballygowan and enjoy the podcast?
Yeah, check out the special limited edition bottles featuring Ballygowan brand ambassadors. Look at them there, Joe McCarthy and Baveen Parsons.
Aren't they looking well? There's Baveen saying she'd love you on a one-on-one. She'd skin you, Tommy.
How cool to be on the side of a bottle of water. Love it. Exciting times.
There's Joe going to me. Dunners, any advice on haircuts?
Dunners, what's going on with the outfit? You got the #1s on, shirt and tie.
I'm in the #1's club tie on today, Tommy. Corkon had their kind of annual lunch, so I had to...
Stinging.
No, it's never a stinging when it's your club.
No, any invite that comes in for a club lunch is a complete stinging.
No, this is an important kind of thing to do. So Donal Lenihan normally chairs the lunch and speaks to the guests, and today I subbed in for him for the first time. He was there, but he's done it for 11 years, and you know what? You know the way it is around the club. There's guys that wouldn't mind having a few drinks, and I'd say Donal was there. Get me to Ralph Keys and Packy Durham and leave me enjoy the day and leave Dunners jump up. So I was chatting to Derval O'Rourke, which was good crack and good fun.
Nice, happy days. Good, yeah. Raised a few quid for the club.
Raising a few quid for the club because, Tommy, I know we chat about it at the professional end, but it ripples, doesn't it? Like down to grassroots level. I know we always chat about the professional side of it, but if you look at our AIL, potentially where it could go next year, if Belvedere come up and Gary Owen go down, which they're, you know what I mean? Like there's 6 games to go.
Yeah.
There's a chance of that. We could be left in our division with 7 Dublin teams, 1 Belfast team, 1 Cork team and 1 Limerick team, which...
What about Armagh? Are they not there too?
No, sorry, one Ulster team.
They're in trouble, are they?
Yeah.
Okay, right, fair enough. I need to look at this. Right.
Ballyhinch is your team.
Ballyhinch are 5th. Armagh are 8th. They're both staying up. Don't worry about that. Let the Limerick teams go. 2 Ulster teams up in the top rung.
But the general concern
but it
is
important.
It is important. The big sway.
Do you know what? Listen, we're going to talk about the Irish team very shortly as well, and about the abundance of Leinster players in it. And I think if we're going to be real about Irish rugby being a 4-province team, you need to have club rugby as strong as anything. And like we talk about the professional game all the time, Dunners, but actually like the club games where we all started.
Yeah.
And when you retire, the club games when you all finish. Like, it's so important that they do look after... Like, you forget the volunteers, the ones who are out lining the pitches, who are serving behind the bar, who are, washing the kit. Like, there's so much effort and community and whatever goes into that. So those club lunches, really good. Hopefully they raise a few quid and keep Cork on going strong.
And an important thing as well, Charlie Murphy, Con's president, mentioned this, and I thought it was really interesting. 15 of the squad that won the AIL this year for Con, the season that just passed when they won the AIL, 15 of them played grassroots level, so came up through underage. They went off to different schools maybe at a point, but they all started out as 7-year-olds in Con. And like, I think that's the story we're missing at the moment. Like, great if someone goes on to be like Baveen and Joe, but if not, go back to your club, man, and be around your friends and play the game because you love it and it's social and it's interaction and it's fun, and enjoy your time with your buddies.
It's maybe something I kind of am concerned about, is that in schools and maybe club rugby as well, like, it's getting so professional. people are getting to 16, 17, 18 and they're like, to hell with that, man. I just want to go to the gym. I don't want to have to play rugby. Like, the club rugby, is it still as much crack as it was when we were going through that system as well? And listen, and it's something we'll talk about going forward as well. But when I see in the shirt and tie there, I do have to remind people, and some exciting news for the podcast, we're doing a live show.
We're doing a live show, Tommy. We're doing a live show, yes. Here we go. There is great excitement.
Singing. We're going to be practicing our gymnastics. Yes, we're going to be doing a live show in the 3 Olympia. It's on the 3rd of March.
No, Tommy, it's not. You're going to be very early if you're on the 3rd, because it's on the 5th of March. Why do we put you on charge of the details?
What's the name of the podcast again?
The Offload, it's live the 5th of March.
In the 3 Olympia. You can get your tickets from 10 o'clock on Friday, today, on Ticketmaster. We'd love for as many people to come. It's going to be a great crack. We'll be talking rugby. Hopefully Ireland will still be going for the Grand Slam. Hopefully France will be going for the Grand Slam. It's going to be an absolute cracker of a match. Tickets for that game are going to be at least €150. So save your money on the match and come and see us, and we'll talk nothing about rugby. We'll have a good laugh.
There you go. No, but we're excited for it. We'd love to see you there. So do get on to Ticketmaster and get your tickets. We'd really appreciate it.
What are we thinking?
What are we thinking, Tommy? What are we thinking? Because it's nervy, man. Like, honestly, I'm more nervous about this than facing a hacker.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. That's pretty daunting, to be fair. But yeah, exactly. Anyway, it's going to be a bit of crack. We'll have a bit of thoughts. If there's anybody here who wants to throw in some suggestions for what we should chat about on the live show, please do get in touch. But no, we put our heads together. It's going to be a bit of crack. It's going to be a great night. We're going to really enjoy it. Listen, what have you been up to this week? Anything else?
No, there hasn't been a whole lot going on. You know what, though? I'm excited for this, Tommy. Maybe it's the time of the year, but it's the time rugby should really stand alone. This is our season. This is the pinnacle of our sport. I'm nervous because it needs to go well. The Six Nations, I think, you know what I mean? It needs to kind of get buy-in and really lift, and that we'll go into the games in individual form. But Ireland versus England, you know it. If you lose the first one, man, Triple Crown's gone, Grand Slam's gone, and pretty much the championship is really tough after that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's all momentum in that. I tell you what, this week and on Ireland we had Shane Byrne, Munch, and Malcolm O'Kelly on the show. So they're on promoting the Irish Legends match on tonight, Friday in Energy Bar. Fair play to those lads. Like, Mal's 50, Munch is 53, 54, both togging out against England. Like, wow. It's a great crack, that is. Some laugh, but I tell you what, talking to the two boys, like, have you been asked to play in those games?
I've been asked to play in that, yeah. But
have you ever played in a match since retiring?
No, I didn't really. Do you know what I'd say would go against me in terms of selection? My social ability to be able to be out all week with them. You know what I mean?
The pints being drunk after that and before that match are insane.
I think that even the water bottles aren't water bottles, if you know what I'm saying.
Wink, wink. It's like, I think Ferris does Waterboy, and he runs on and he has he's holding 2 sets of water bottles, one with water and one with whatever else concoctions are going with it. But I mean, they've a hell of a team going, but I just can't face it. I play, I talked before about this Perennials, the kind of over 35s, over 40s rugby team. It's a charity team. So I play normally once a year against Monaghan on that. I do 20 minutes for Monaghan, 20 minutes for the Perennials, and my knee is blown up, falling apart after that's me done. But playing that Ireland against England, it's good luck to them. And the problem is, and you know yourself, and you be one of the big characters of this, it's all nicey, take it easy, wink, lads, and all of a sudden, someone like Donncha sticks a shoulder in or hits somebody in a ruck, and all of a sudden, things start to escalate.
But Tommy, you can see how it happens. It's still an English jersey, isn't it? It's still English lads. You know what I mean? We know we've toured with them, but there's something in it. Like this game, even if you're not into rugby, you watch this match, isn't it? This is a game that stands alone.
And you'll recognize all the players as well, like, because I mean, there's it's proper Irish legends who you've watched. They're all 50, 60, 70 caps for Ireland.
Well, do you know who's a legend? Malcolm O'Kelly. Munch, you're a great fella. You probably made a show of yourself on Dancing with the Stars, but prior to that, you're a decent guy and you go crack. But there is no better fun than Malcolm O'Kelly, and he's fun because he doesn't try, Tommy, isn't it? The situations that man has got himself in, like. Eddie O'Sullivan, and do you remember they?
Well, hold on. I'm going to say this because I told you that they're coming on the show, and you said, I wonder if Mal will turn up on time. Right? So I went and I said to her, and I said, Mal is never on time, and she's desperate for timekeeping as well. The two of them are as bad as each other. And anyway, so Shane Byrne arrives. They're on at 9:20. Shane Byrne's there 10-9. Happy days. Well done. No, he's there because the traffic in the M50 be pretty bad. Says no sign of Mal. Gets to 9:05. No sign of Mal. 9:10. No sign of Mal. I'm like, where? I told you he's never there. All of a sudden, rocks up. He goes, I was in the wrong car park.
Was he still on the Vespa? You remember he used to drive a Vespa, and like, to be fair, Mal is about, what is he, 6'8", 6'9"?
He's huge.
He's
Honestly,
huge
he's not
man.
getting any smaller, man. Honestly, he's massive.
But he's limmy as well. So like when he was on the Vespa, he looked like Donkey Kong, because like, I know he was on it to go quicker, but his knees would be spread out as far as a car would. So
He's
like
the width of a car.
you couldn't go around him. Do you remember the time he was late for a meeting and he was banging on the back door? He was there.
And he was late, so we all arrived, and Eddie said, right, fuck it, close the door. So lock the door, and then all of a sudden, like 5 minutes later, Eddie's in the middle of the meeting, and then you just hear this tap on the door, knock, knock, knock. So it took about 2 or 3 knocks, and then someone says, right, we open the door, and he just comes in. He goes, Joe Eddie, I'd really love to be here.
Because I was subbing that day, and I remember Eddie was there. Like, you could see he was odd. I was there. This could break nicely for me. I could actually be starting, because Mal is outside the door going, I'm really, really sorry, Eddie. I won't be late again, I promise. Do you know, listen to this, that Rala used to have to make Mal an itinerary. So we all get an itinerary. It slid under your door every day. Rala used to put a really cool little quote on it, but it basically told you dress codes, times, everything you need. Just follow the itinerary and you're golden for the rest of the day. But Raleigh used to make Malcolm one that was 15 minutes early. So say the team meeting was at 9:30, Mal's would say like 9:15 team meeting.
I remember he was so late all the time on tour that you got him a clock. Isn't that like, it was a necklace? You had to wear a clock at all times. This huge big clock.
Do you know what the great thing about that? He was quite proud to wear it, and it kind of suited him as well. Oh, what a man! What a man!
Remember those itineraries Raleigh used to put under? Like every night you'd hear it slipped underneath, and it'd have exactly breakfast 7, everything, all itinerary, what you have to wear, where we're going. But it had that quote, and that was the quote. Remember, it was knowledge is knowing tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing not to put it in a fruit salad.
Yes, Dricko.
And Dricko, before it was Ireland against England, and they said, so what do you think about the team? And he said, knowledge is no, and everybody thought, and like Dricko's got credit with this.
Yeah.
It's always quote Bruyne O'Driscoll.
What a genius.
People think he's genius.
He is a genius, because he had the balls to say it in a big moment. Good on you, Dricko. Do you know what? It was probably appropriate for that. But I know we're going over it. But Rala had a way of gauging it as well. There was good quotes at good times.
I love them. I love those quotes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like proper inspirational quotes, particularly
Did
the night
Joe
of
get
big
rid
match.
of the quotes?
Oh, listen, Joe, there was no more sliding sheets underneath the thing. If you didn't know the itinerary off by heart for the next day, you're late.
Right there
you're
on
out.
my hand. Yeah, brilliant.
Poor Mal wasn't going to last too long under Joe Schmidt, I tell you.
Malcolm O'Kelly, what a man, what company.
Here, have you seen the start of, well, you've been busy at your lunch, haven't you? You haven't seen the start of the new Netflix Six Nations?
No, I haven't watched an episode. I was disappointed to hear, though, that it isn't going to continue from here on in. They're not going to do
This
a
is
next
the last
season
one, yeah.
Yeah, which is
It's a
disappointing.
Did you watch the first season?
I watched the first season, and I'll be honest, I love rugby, but I found that the most boring thing I've ever watched in my life. It was awful. I don't think it sold our sport. I don't think it was a fair reflection of what we are. I've been in camp. It's better than
It
that.
was too watered down, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Like,
It really was.
you think of the best sports documentary, and lots of people love their NFL and love their Drive to Survive, which I love all these as well. But if you think the original was the 97 Lions, like,
Living
I
with the
watched that
Lions.
tape over and over, and that
Same here.
literally every coach, was every coach's speech before a match was then right. You could hear, like, literally the camera was everything and everywhere. Where this time round, you can see, like, they're there for kind of some of the training sessions. You can see them in the car driving to train or the bus going to train, but you're not hearing the emotional speeches. You're not hearing, like, when things are going down. Like, it's just very watered down. And I just think if you're not going to buy into it and give full access, then you're not going to sell. Like, what an opportunity. I think it's like 300 million people have Netflix accounts. What an opportunity.
Yeah, honestly, and we should be ashamed of ourselves that we couldn't kind of get that across the line. Because like we said, I feel there is brilliant stories. There is brilliant characters. Like you quoted Living with the Lions. But like, I swear my brothers used to slag me over watching that Jim Telford team talk.
This is your Everest, boys.
Like, we can rehearse it, man. But those are moments that, honestly, boys and girls sit around and go, me, I want a bit of that. You know what I mean? Dream a little bit bigger. And of course, I understand it. I was that professional in the room kind of going, anyone outside the circle. But I think this was an opportunity for rugby to actually step up and show what it was about, show the point of difference, show the confrontational style of it. And we did none of it.
And even Andy Farrell, on I think it was maybe 2013 Lions video, he did like this speech about this is where we take them to the hurt area. Yeah, exactly. And that's where, like, people buy into that. Now, maybe they don't give those speeches anymore. Maybe the players don't need that. But I'll tell you, I just watched the first episode of the new one, and listen, it's amazing. Like, I am a rugby fan. I'll watch it. I do enjoy it. And to be fair to England, they bought into it. Like, they gave really good access and they've tried to give as much as they can. But the first one starts, and I suppose it's the way sport is going now. But, like, rugby players, we're not footballers. We're not earning the mega bucks to be driving around Lamborghinis and whatever else. Well, most of us aren't. But, like,
Mal
the
on the
opening
Vespa.
credits. Yeah, well, exactly. The opening credits, I think, is Finn Russell driving in a Rolls Royce. Then it goes, the first player is Marcus Smith, the English out half, and he's gone off looking at Ferraris and Porsches and drives off in a G-Wagon. I'm kind of like, are we trying to be something we're not here? You know, you're talking about club rugby. Like, I don't know, are we trying to promote that we're larger than we are when actually... I wonder... Or is that just what sells? Is that what young people want to see now?
Maybe
it's the aspiration.
Can I be overly harsh? Maybe that's actually the lads now as well. Like, I noticed in Worcester when I was captain, I remember chatting to a few of the younger lads who were driving lease cars, and the lease car was costing them more than probably their contract, but it was to give the perception of that I can afford this really nice car, and that was important to look the part, even though, like, you're kind of wondering, should you not be putting that away, man? Or
isn't that just what Instagram and stuff is and social media is now? It's just showing this blingy lifestyle. But geez, you get to 30, 35, man, it's some shock to the system whenever you're having to hand that lease car back and go pick up something a lot smaller.
It is a worry.
I don't know. It was a bit of a concern just watching that going.
You mentioned it before, the prices of tickets now. If you think of it, remember you were saying in one of the previous pods that it could be up nearly to $2,000 to get a match ticket. Yeah. If you think the chat at the moment is that the Six Nations could go behind a paywall, there we just lost Netflix, the biggest streaming service in the world. What are we doing, lads? Like, honestly, like, rugby needs a kick up the ass. It is too male, it's too stale, it's too pale. Like, come on. Sell our beautiful sport. Stop leaving it over to lads in blazers that kind of restrict everything. Just go. Let's go. Honestly, let's actually sit down with the likes of Netflix. Let's actually get the NFL people and say, "Oh, look, this is our product, man. How do we sell this?"
But I gather they didn't want it. Like the IRFU, Andy Farrell, he was like, "Nah, I want to be able to say exactly what is put on that. It's all doctored. I'll tell you when the cameras are allowed in, when they're not." And like you can see, listen, Pete O'Mahony was on it. I thought he actually came across really well on it.
Was he trimming his preconias?
He was.
Was he?
He was sharpening. He was sharpening the blades on the
How are your petunias, Peter?
He was ready for battle. But I thought he came, like that. Good on him. That is Pete. Like,
yeah, that is him.
He's a hard man, and that's exactly what he loves. You know, absolute maniac on the pitch, but he loves cutting a flower and trimming his bushes.
He's going to knock your ears in. I love it. Brilliant. Well done you. But
Right,
yeah,
okay.
what a missed opportunity.
I think so. When you think of the opportunity, Netflix, 300 million eyeballs around the world, like to put the Six Nations and rugby on such a platform and to not give it the opportunity it deserved, I think was an opportunity missed. And that might come back to bite us in the arse.
Yeah.
Listen, Six Nations, it is on Netflix, but it's also going to be on the telly. So let's start talking rugby. Before we do that, I want to give another shout out to Ballygowan Natural Mineral Water for supporting the podcast.
Yes, did you know that Ballygowan has a range of flavoured waters, Tommy? Ballygowan Hint of Fruit. They're available in a variety of flavours and they're always sugar-free. And you should try this one. I'm trying it today. Apple. Absolutely beautiful. Look at that.
I got this
What have you gone
top
with?
as well. I got strawberry.
Strawberry.
Yum.
Do you know
Happy
what used to
days.
frustrate me? This is how I used to get my hint of apple, just by like lobbing one in. But if you get a Ballygowan, it's way easier and it tastes way nicer. So
It's a bit of a squeeze trying to get that apple into.
there you go. Just go for the hint. Good on you, Ballygowan. Delicious.
Here, Six Nations. Like, do you remember the nerves before the Six Nations? Like the intensity of playing club rugby before it. You normally had Europe. There's all that excitement. But then when Six Nations comes around, and particularly England, it's just next level. This is as big as it gets, really, for the players, on a world or and I suppose on an annual stage.
Yeah, agreed. And look, maybe I'm just going back to our own time, but when you grew up, maybe Munster and Ulster weren't the vehicle they are now. So your aspirations were always, if you were into rugby, were to play for Ireland. Like I remember playing underage rugby up in Highfield, we would leg it home to get home for the Five Nations, and you'd probably watch it still muddy, you know what I mean, in your gear. I remember it was soup and sandwiches and it was the Five Nations, and it was like you'd hear Fred Cogley, and like it was just unbelievable kind of, because it was nowhere else, you know what I mean. If I wanted to go see a match, I'd have to go down to Sundays Well or UCC, but if I wanted to see something on the telly, that was it, and it just, the history, the tradition, there's nothing like this competition.
Do you think England is the biggest of the games?
No, I don't. I think there's going to be bigger battles as it goes on. I do think it is a bit of a banana skin to have first, but I actually think we're being unbelievably disrespected. I hope it comes down to the wire. Like, no one is chatting as much. Everyone is waiting for us to fall over one poor performance against New Zealand, and that's really annoying me.
Really? Like, what? You think that from the Irish public you're being disrespectful?
No, I just
from...
Yeah, just maybe other nations. I think everyone's looking at us kind of saying they're done. Andy's moved out, you know what I mean? And they hark back to the autumn internationals where, I'll be honest, bar a poor performance against New Zealand, we weren't that far off it.
Well, we were lucky enough to get past Australia as well. I mean, it came down to a try towards the end of the game too. But yeah, listen, I agree. Like, but there's always question marks going. Like, as England are going into this, like, there's actually not that much expectation on them. I don't think. I think they're kind of trying to big this up as in, we're only England. We're only just turning up. We have no chance against Ireland. Where in the back of their mind, that is the perfect way for them to be. But I always like the England match to all the supporters. Like, this was like, oh, you better beat England. Like, it was always the biggest game. Going through the airport, you're putting your bag through the scanners. They're like, geez, I hope you do a job on this weekend. Yeah. Every time you walk down the street, it's always about England. But personally, I don't know. It was the Welsh match. I think it was always more of a rivalry between the Welsh team and Irish team back when we were playing. But certainly from a supporter's point of view, I have never had more people asking for tickets for this game. So there's huge interest in it.
It always is. I remember my nan was a Black Rock hurling was her passion. Like
Leinster?
Down in Cork.
Like?
No, in Cork. She was hurling, or else
St. Michael's. Recruited you for that.
No chance. But I'll never forget, she never used to be worried about rugby. For my nan, if you played rugby, you were basically brutal at hurling and football. You know what I mean? That's the only reason you'd play it. But her ringing me before that Crow Park match, like, she was honestly up the walls, because she was there, like, she used to go to bingo down in the Rockies, and she was there, I won't be able to walk in the door. if England come to Croke Park and you don't get the job done. You know what I mean?
Honestly.
Oh, I promise you. And I was rooming with Raj, and she was there, put me on to the other fella there. I was there like, Raj, my nan wants to chat to you. But just that you do you know what it is, Tommy? You don't need to be into sport to know that that's a big one, isn't it?
Well, Ireland against England in general is huge, but that first game in Croke Park, like given the history, of course was huge. I tell you, I have a story with that one, that I was training, I was kind of involved in the squad the whole way through. I think it was either Dennis Hickey or Shane Horgan, the two wingers that time. One of them was injured right through that week. So I was training on the wing. I think it was Dennis. I was training in his position all the way through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I got to Thursday and they had to go off for a scan. I had to go off and do a fitness test. And anyway, I trained on the Thursday, and then Eddie came up to me and said, listen, Dennis, he's passed the fitness test. We don't need you anymore. So obviously I was heartbroken, because it's one of these games that you just want to be involved in. Even though I was kind of shitting myself, I was kind of delighted I didn't have to do it.
Yeah,
but,
I know that feeling. That's the true feeling, isn't it? That feeling of, you know what I mean? Oh, thank God I don't have to go.
Yeah, half relief, but half delighted, but or half disappointed. But I'll tell you this. So do you know the way for a match you used to get, like, I think 3 tickets or 5 tickets, and then you had the option to buy a load of other ones? Everybody's tickets were all gone. That's right. So I said, okay, so this was the Thursday. I was training all week. Then I got told I'm not being picked. And then I said, okay, well, can I go to the match? And they're like, no, sorry, we've no tickets.
Who told you that?
Was it Ger Carmody?
No way. Ger Carmody's the nicest man on earth. You obviously annoyed him.
Nobody. So all tickets were gone. And I was like, you can't go to the match. So I was literally... I trained I'm telling you, I trained with the team all week, got to Thursday, told you're not in the squad, and I couldn't go to the game. And only my dad was able to get me a ticket from Emmy Vale Gaelic Football Club up in Monaghan. So way. I was sitting up in Hill 16 watching the game on my own.
Haven't been on there on the Thursday doing the run.
Literally did all the training all week, was meant to be playing, and all of a sudden there's me in the hill, and all these people are going, what the hell are you doing here? But it was one of those games I had to be at. Yeah. But you know, because I obviously, if I was to start, I would have got Dennis's allocation of tickets. Because I didn't get that, he got all the tickets, and therefore everyone had sold theirs, and it was like, because they're hen's teeth.
Yeah, and there's no kind of 23rd man. That's something that has moved on, though. When we see stuff like at the World Cup, partners and family being over. You see now there's family rooms. It was all so new, wasn't it? I don't think there was any intention to kind of throw Tommy out, but no one, like, the tickets were gone, like.
But back then, like, the 22 was the 22 or the 23 was the 23, and that, like, they didn't bring backup players.
No, they didn't.
Now you go watch Ireland do the warm-up, there's 50 of them out the pitch.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Like, I mean, honestly, I mean, these lads
they're so envious of their tickets.
I know, but at the same time they're there warming up for the Fiji match, going, do you know what I could do with taking this one handy? I could be doing it at home.
That is priceless,
dad time.
That is priceless.
Honestly, it's wild. But anyway, listen, it was a great game. Got to be there. Got to see his win. Jeez, what a win that was. And I say it was Shane Horgan who I was training with instead of that time. Fair play to him. He caught the ball above his head, scored in the corner.
You, Tommy, if Shaggy was out, or if Dennis was out, we could have been on that side, could you? You wouldn't have caught it. You would have got a Haribo or something.
Oh, was I meant to be there? Jeez, better kick, lads.
You coming over to me. Are you going straight out afterwards, Donners?
Here, I forgot to mention, we've got our guest coming on to the pod as well, of course.
How long has he been waiting there? How rude of us. We're too busy nattering.
He's going to be joining us, England's most capped player of all time. He's going to be joining us very shortly.
Sorry about that, Ben. Give him nothing, Tommy. Give him nothing. Stay out there, Ben. You're grand.
As you said, whenever I told you, he goes, yeah, but Tommy, he's English.
He's English. Why are we getting an English fella on? Yeah, to be fair to him, 127 caps for England. Unbelievable.
That is some going. Like him and Jason Robinson, I think at one stage were the only 2 players to be over 100 caps for England. So some going. Here, let's talk with the Irish team before we go to talk to Ben. Listen, I don't think there's any huge surprises. Joe McCarthy was the big one. He started every game for Ireland last year. pretty bad knock on the head. We're not too sure exactly how bad that is at the moment. But you have James Ryan starting the second row with Tadhg Beirne and Ryan Baird at 6. That's going to be an interesting one.
That was an interesting one, yeah. I think it's exciting. And when you look at the English team with the two Currys in the back row, you wonder, is that going to be a point of difference line-out wise?
For the line-out.
Yeah,
I'm surprised England did that, I have to say.
But then
I thought they'd go after Ireland's line-out.
Yeah, but then that's been misfiring. I wonder, is it nearly by Borthwick kind of going, do you know what? Don't worry about their line-out. It's not a whole lot anyway. Give me 2 groundhogs that slow everything up. But like, if you try to stop Ireland, what do? Make a mess of the breakdown. And
slow the ball down.
There's no one better at it than the two of them, to be fair.
Yeah, to be fair, like that, like it's going to be really interesting to see what way England do attack Ireland, what sort of game they bring. I do want to bring this one up to you, because I see this as a huge battle going into the summer of the Lions. Caelan Doris, captain, up against Maro Itoje. In our eyes, Caelan Doris is nailed on captain for the Lions. But if England were to win this game and Itoje was to be the sort of player that we would have seen from him a number of years ago, do you think there's a chance that he could go into the reckoning in that?
Yeah, he's certainly in the conversation. I think when it comes to chatting about lines, and especially captains, they have to be in the team. And I think the two of them, you would say, are fairly nailed on to being a test.
I'd say it'd be pretty... Like, Maro Itoje, like, he kind of had a bit of a rocky spell there for a little while. Now, I gather he had a bit of illness. Now, I don't know what it is, but he was kind of playing with an illness for like a year and a half, which was hampering his performance.
No,
but
he's quite a unique
nailed
talent.
on as captain. He is like, he's a serious operator, Dunners.
He's got a balance in everything. He's a pest at breakdowns. He's a pest. You know what I mean? And I know this sounds nuts, but that is a unique quality in that position. If you can just make everything chaotic, and he can certainly do that, and then his work rate's through the roof. And
what do you make? What do you make of him doing the whole clapping and shouting and backslapping whenever a team dropped the ball?
I don't think it's more so him. That used to be a Wasps kind of, or sorry, a Saracens.
Saracens.
Yeah, I know it is quite
Jamie
frustrating.
George.
I knew. I heard that they'd spent time with like sports psychologists, and what they realised is when you make an error. So if you make a mistake, and celebrate it, or highlight it, you feel even worse, because you would never have done that. Like you never celebrated a knock on or something.
I think it's so arsey. Honestly, I do not like it.
I'd love if it was outed. You know what I mean? If a ref went, no, we're not having that.
Yeah, no, I don't like it. I don't like. Listen, fair play, competitiveness, whatever else, but I mean, I just don't think it's. Don't like it. Just don't like it. And as captain, that was something that he's like. I wonder if he'll be doing that this weekend to really try and get under Ireland's skin.
Yeah, I didn't think of that leadership battle. I was kind of. I know you're going to slag me over it, but
You think Peter O'Mahony should be in?
No, Ellis Genge against Finlay Beelum is all I'll be watching. You know, I'll be watching way more than that. But it is such a pivotal match. I don't think we've ever, and we chat about him enough, but we've gone through a bit of a rocky patch at the moment. We've been missing Furlong, man. I don't think Furlong gets the credit he deserves for not only what he does at set piece, but even around the pitch. We're a different team with him. And again, I know we'll say, oh, Finlay will jump in, but I think they're going to target him. I think they really are. And I think that's why we see that kind of even the bench. I think if you were to probably bring on, younger players, you want the likes of Hendy. Like putting Hendy in behind someone there.
Yeah, big lump.
It shores it up no end.
He is like a Joe McCarthy, to be fair to him. Do you know what I mean? That's why he's definitely got the nod there, I think.
Yeah, he's the closest thing we have to him. And to be fair, Hendy won't go back. You know what I mean? He'll find a way to win that battle at scrum time. So that's what I'm interested in. Finlay Beelum needs to have a big game, man.
Well, that's why I love Tadhg Furlong there, because it means that I know the scrum is going to be sorted, which means I don't have to look at the scrum, which means I'm happy.
But isn't that enough? You know what I mean?
Well, talk to me. Okay, well then here's another one then that I will be looking at, and you were questioning me about this as well, as the back three. Yeah. Because that is going to be a challenge, because you have this whole kick escort, and we were talking about in the Autumn Nations. It's been kind of happening a little bit. You've seen it in the URC in Europe, but this is going to be you can tell by England's back three that they're going after Ireland in the air. And Like this guy Murley, he plays for Harlequins. Don't know much about him, but he's a big lump, meant to be good in the air. Freeman is a fullback. He's a great class operator as well, good with hands. And Stewart at 15. So they are good in the backfield. But my question, and with Simon Easterby, like, he's picking the same old faces a little bit, right? And my worry with this is James Lowe has played one match since Australia in the autumn. Hugo Keenan has played one match since Australia in the autumn. And Mac Hansen has played 2 matches since Australia. They are really short on match minutes. Yeah. And I know, listen, James Lowe will come out. We question this sometimes. He comes out as player of the match. Hugo Keenan, again, unbelievable performer when under pressure. But I just think that that's something that I'm a little bit concerned about.
Yeah, I used to always worry about that. But then Robbie Henshaw blew that out of the water for me. The way lads come back now, you know, before it used to take you maybe 3-4 games to get up to even match pace and you were allowed run out. That doesn't happen anymore. Like, they come back so game ready. I agree with you. It is probably a pick on loyalty as opposed to, like, you can't say it's form because we simply haven't seen them enough. But I think the management know what they have in those lads. To be fair, Lowe, even the other night, that left boot, man, having that peg to be able to get us out on exits is so important. And yeah, I think Hugo Keane is so underrated for his work rate in the backfield. Do you know what he does? He makes the pitch smaller for everyone else. He's helpful to your front five with the amount he works.
Well, listen, the team is pretty much 12 Leinster players and 3, I suppose, project players. You have Finlay Bealham, you have Mac Hansen, you have Bundy Aki coming in. A lot of people are saying that. Ty Byrne is obviously the Munster representative, but he's come through the Leinster Academy. Is this really...
Why are you starting now, Tommy? Why are you starting? You honestly? Do you know what I mean? You're trying to rattle my cage. 12 Leinster players. They're in green this week, Tommy. It's totally different. Say what you want about Leinster. This is a step up. If they play like they played for Leinster, it won't be good enough. We need these guys to go up to international pace, and you need to stop pulling my chain.
Okay, well then, right, finally then, let's talk. Crowley, Prendergast, surprised.
That's the big one. I wasn't so much surprised because he's in possession, and we know it. When you're in the jersey, it's very, very hard to get out of. I wouldn't be disillusioned if I was Jack. You know what I mean? That type of loyalty when you're in the shirt will come back to you. I thought he played unbelievably well in the games in Europe. Sam is at an advantage. You know what I mean? When he plays with Leinster, that is an awesome pack to be behind. You know what I mean? It's an armchair ride.
But listen, the pressure's on Sam Prendergast. Like, one slip up, one game where things don't go so well for you, like... No. He's only a young guy, you know, he's not going to be perfect. He's going to have to learn. And I think the two of them nipping on each other's heels is only going to be good for Ireland going forward. I think both of them will have had an arm around their shoulder this week going, listen, chin up, you'll get your opportunity. And when you get it, you got to take it.
I think a little bit different. I think this is Sam's time to fly. I don't think anyone rates him outside of probably people in Ireland. We don't know him well enough. We've seen spots.
Because he's so young, it's first year, really.
Of course, but Tommy, we know they're good coaches, man. We know the credibility of what is picking him. If they think he's good, man, you know what I mean? He must be exceptional. And I don't think we know the ceiling. What about this? Like, everyone's saying Finn Russell is nailed on for Lions 10. Prendergast has a run here. We win a Grand Slam. Who are we chatting about then? You know what I mean? Are we actually chatting, could 2 of them Lions tour? Jack and... So,
what an opportunity.
You know it better than anyone. Get in the shirt, win and play well, and he stays in it. You know what I mean? I know everyone's giving it we're working in a 4-year block. My arse.
Well, listen, it's going to be an absolute I'm buzzing about it. Love the start of Six Nations, and England first up, and then Scotland's going to be class. Listen, it's time to move on to our guest. Again, special thanks to Ballygowan for giving us the sponsorship of the podcast. Brilliant to have them on board. Make sure to check out Ticketmaster from 10 o'clock today, Friday, to go and buy your tickets to see us in the 3 Olympia. It's going to be a great night out. You'll enjoy it. We'll make you laugh. And
isn't it mad when you say it aloud, Tommy, that we're actually...
Makes it very real. That's going to be on the 5th of March, the week of the France match. So really would love to see so many people come along. It'll be a great night out. But now it is time to get our guest, our English guest, star of the Six Nations, England's most cap player, 127 caps, 5 Premiership titles with Leicester Tigers, selected for 2 British and Irish Lions tours as well. The one, the only, Ben Youngs. Listen, thanks for coming to talk to us. How are you getting on? You're, England's most cap player. You're still 19 years at the Tigers, still going strong. How are you?
I'm good, mate. Thanks for having me, gents. No, life's good. You know, I sit on the other side of the fence now, get to enjoy, obviously, what's coming up, which is the best tournament in the world, in my opinion. You know, rugby-wise, so I get to watch that from a fan's point of view. Rugby-wise, mate, chipping along, playing the odd cameo here and there, just about surviving training and keeping up with family life. But all is good, mate. I can't complain. Life's good.
Odd cameo, my arse. You did 80 minutes at the weekend, didn't you, against Gloucester? Like, that was a rip-roaring game. You're still at it.
Close to, mate. I am. I've definitely I'm more of a power 9 now, just because my shape's changed. Tommy will know this. I don't mind consuming.
I'm interested to hear what way the shape has gone, because there was an interesting shape years ago in your prime, right? So what shape are you now?
There's definitely a barrel at the front, mate. I'm like a front weights in front of a tractor. So, but yeah, just about managed to complete the game, mate. No cramp, no stitch, and just about finished it. But hey, you guys, you know what it's like. Like, I still love the Saturdays. I still love the game. Like, you know, being out there playing rugby is what I've always wanted to do, and I still love that, and I'll never get bored of that. The days leading up to the game, I can probably take it or leave it, if I'm honest.
It was something, probably because we've gone through it, man. I honestly think there is such reward in man management at that point. Like, I'll be honest, I don't coach, but I don't need you every Tuesday, full noise, knocking lumps out of your own teammates. I need you Saturday, lighting it up. You know, you've done it. You've earned the right.
But it's not fair for the rest of the team if they're all getting shafted and you can't. Like, just because you played to your 40.
No.
Like,
Tommy, he's
Ben,
earned the...
like,
Hold on,
Donncha
2
was
seconds.
flying off to Gloucester, literally flying back midweek to say hello to the family, and going back, playing the match, taking the coin, bringing back a brown paper bag to the family against Sterling.
Benny,
double
please
the
excuse
euros.
me.
Happy days.
It's 127 caps for England, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he can do whatever he wants, Tommy. You know what I mean? He's earned the right to say, do you know what? I don't fancy that. I just think we're all chat about protecting the game and looking after the lads, but I don't think there's a real focus. This is just my own opinion. I don't know your environment, Ben. I don't know like the players' unions and the unions themselves looking inward at training and actually managing the load in there. We're all worried about Saturday and guys knocking lumps out each other, but let's look at the run-up of the week. Like, I firsthand, we'd lose a game on a Saturday, and it was like, we're doing more contact to relearn it, and it's probably the last thing you need. So it's probably something I feel strongly about, that managing, especially, not just saying it, Bendy, but older players, looking after them, man.
Without doubt, mate. I think, you know, the player management is probably one of the biggest attributes the top level coaches have, is having the ability to have self-confidence in their coaching, but also give you enough leeway that kind of gets the best out of you and make sure you're fresh and you're all good to go without you kind of taking the piss. Yeah. It's a skill, man management. And some of the best coach I've had has been able to manage things, and some of the worst I've had in my career is because they haven't been able to manage players, you know, or simply have that dialogue, which is a pretty straightforward conversation, really, when you get to sort of the latter end of your career.
Yeah. Well, you're obviously head coach at Leicester at the minute, is as good as it gets with Michael Cheika, who a lot of the people from this podcast would know won the European Cup with Leinster first time round. Like, he must be amazing. Although, wasn't there those stories that he was like going in, booting down doors, and is he a psycho as he comes across sometimes?
Brilliant.
You know what? Having played against him in terms of obviously when England played Australia and he was Australian coach, you know, you obviously go past the coaches every so often in the corridor or going out to the tunnel to warm up, you know, and I always thought he looked a little bit like crazy. But actually, once you get to know him and you meet him, it couldn't be further from the truth. Like, he is genuinely such a rugby guy, top bloke, very, very caring, like, you know, very personal. But what I do love about him is he does have that twinkle in his eye when something needs to be said. He can fire up, mate. Like, and I love that. It's a bit of the old school, you know. Like sometimes you gotta like say it how it is and not fluff it. Just go straight to the point. And he fires up, and he's pretty good motivator. Actually, I've got to say that's one of his key strengths. Actually, is how he sort of motivates the boys and how he goes about that. But yeah, mate, he's been refreshing. I've really enjoyed Czech, like genuinely really enjoyed him. And he's kind of brought all that experience. But I think you guys will know it. Like sometimes you just need a figurehead in the room. You need a presence. Yeah. And, you know, when you've got that presence as a coach, you know, like you think of Ireland and Andy Farrell, of course, who's not there currently. But he's got an aura about him, a presence. When he says something, you listen, you do it, no matter what, you know, and Czech's one of those guys. And there ain't that many. But he's one of those guys where he says something, it's like, fine, we're doing it.
But that makes him a perfect fit for ye too, because that's Leicester, isn't it? You know what I mean? There is all the other side, but the emotional attachment, when ye have that, you know what I mean? That's what we've seen in Leicester teams of the past. That's why ye excel, that emotional buy-in. Absolutely, mate. And even from the point of when he first turned up for pre-season, right, he refused to put on the kit because he's like, I ain't earned the right. Like, I'm your coach, but I have not earned the right to put on this kit.
Oh, come on.
He was sizing too heavy. He had a good summer.
I think we just didn't have a big enough size for him.
There you go. He wanted the triple XL. Get Dan Cole to give him a top.
He whipped on, but I think he likes sort of that sort of mentality of like, you know, I'm going to earn the right and I want to do this. And just, I don't know, like he just likes trying to motivate. And he's a great fit for the club. What traditionally has been, you know, often you want the group to kind of reflect the coach, you know, and how we play and everything like that. And he's probably a bit of a good figurehead in terms of what Leicester used to be and what we're trying to be again with someone like that at the helm.
Listen, before we move on to Six Nations, I have to ask you, De Bruyne behind you, is this kind of inspiration? Is this who you see yourself as in the Leicester team?
There he
Kevin
goes.
De Bruyne.
I
put it there for Donna's, mate, because I just thought of playmaking, assister, like work rate, and I thought it was quite fitting. No,
that's me. There's Haaland in front of you. Tommy Bowe, you know what I mean? He should be playing League Two when he can finish.
Just signed a 9.5-year contract you did on God knows mega bucks to take that.
Can we all have some of that? Do you know what? I basically, long story short, a very good fella that's involved rugby, Graham Close, who Donna's knows anyway because he was at Munster, of course, at England. He had a friend that worked at Man City. We're chatting away and I was saying how much of a fan I was of Kevin De Bruyne and I love the way that he plays the game. And he said, leave it with me. I reckon I can get something. A couple of weeks later, mate, comes through the post, match-worn shirt, 2 pair and all the best, Kevin De Bruyne. And I was like, I need that framed and I need it pinned up on the office. So that's where it is, mate. So that's what it is. So it's not like but I'm a big fan of him. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Are you a Man City supporter?
No, but I'm Hey, but we can all appreciate good players, right?
Exactly.
We can appreciate good players.
I totally agree. We're a Liverpool house, but I would actually show my kid Kevin De Bruyne. I show my little girl Robin and Jake play soccer, and I'm there. Look at this guy. He's different.
This is the sort of level Dad was at in a green jersey. Honestly, playmaker.
Penalty 4, roll away.
I do not want you to think for 1 second that's I've got that there for as like a comparison to the way that I play the game, because that is just not the case.
Well, listen, I'm sorry. The way we're going to clip it, that's exactly the way this is going to look like. Here, listen, it's a huge match this weekend. It
is.
Obviously, Ireland-England, start of the Six Nations again. I have to talk to you, right, on your podcast, your predictions and rankings. You've started off, you've got France to be first, England second, Ireland third, Scotland fourth, Italy, Wales. Ireland third. You're obviously feeling fairly confident for the match tomorrow.
Do you know what it is? Do you know, like, it's, you know, when you go in this space of podcasting and everything like that, right, you kind of got to think with your heart and your head, and it's so difficult because, you know, I want England to do so bloody well. You know, I do. Yeah. And it's such a difficult space. I think France are favourites. I think they're favourites of the tournament. And I don't know what it is, mate, because if you went on last year's results, you wouldn't say England are favourites at all. But I've just got this, I feel like England have a bit of a free swing. And And, I massively respect Ireland. I think that I've never had too much joy against Ireland, to be
Not
fair.
that much. You're
Not
putting us
that
down in third. I've huge respect for you. I gave you bronze.
Yeah, but I think what I think with England is they've got a bit of a free swing, I think. The expectation externally isn't on England to go and win in Dublin. And that's rightly so. But I just know what it's like sometimes when you're in those camps and you're kind of not expected and you can kind of go about your business quietly and, results weren't fantastic in the autumn and you kind of go there. And if you get it right, you can kind of, I just got this feeling that England might have enough to do it. I mean, Ireland need to have a bit of an off day and England need to be very, very clinically good. And I think
you were part of the team
plan that will be pretty conservative.
Weren't you part of the team back in 2019? Ireland were going into that massive favourites, huge expectation. And Eddie Jones, I think, had just come in as head coach and you blitzed us in that first game of the Six Nations. Like, what do you see this team being in a similar position? And what was it about that gave you the confidence to come to Dublin and absolutely destroy Ireland?
Well, the similarities is the fact that it was probably a free swing for us that day. But internally, we felt very much that we had the capabilities of winning. I think Ireland at that stage were world number one. I think they beat New Zealand in the autumn, and it was sort of tipped up that they would have the sort of Six Nations would be theirs in 2019 leading into the World Cup, and we were just turned up, and we knew. Sometimes there's certain games where you can afford to be a little bit off and you can find a way, but there's certain games where you just can't be like that. And to a man, we were on it, mate. And I remember at the beginning of the game and Faz put Elliot Daly away. I think we did an attacking kick another time and it kind of bounced our way and you get a bit of luck. You need that. Yeah. But ultimately, we just put in a really good performance, which we needed to. But it was almost on the back of having a bit of a free swing. And we were very good. And you can see that Ireland were maybe a little bit like, hang on, this isn't how it's supposed to go. This isn't how it was meant to be. And you can kind of galvanize you through that way. Now, do I think it's similar to that? No, because I think 2019's team was more established, more consistent, and had probably a better pool of experience and players than what the England side currently does. It's still hard. In some positions I could name them, and others, Steve can kind of change from week to week of who he goes with. But I do like the idea that England kind of have a shot to nothing, and with the way that maybe Steve sets the team up every so often. We saw a England team that played a lot of rugby against Ireland at Twickenham last year. This year, I think that they'll play a tactical kicking game. At the weekend, I think they'll try and nullify Ireland. Ireland have a great flow in their attack and the way they get in their systems and kind of nullify that. I think England will be quite conservative and almost make it frustrating for Ireland. And that's how I kind of see it, guys. But I mean, it's one thing saying that and seeing it. Whether it actually happens is a totally different thing.
But does that disappoint you in ways? You know what I mean? That you kind of, when we're chatting about English rugby, we have to chat about maybe Ireland underperforming, England excelling and playing beyond themselves, and even reflecting on kind of 19. But you're right, like Owen Farrell, the Vinipolas, Manu in the centre, that's a different team. That is a team that struck fear. Looking at it now, like Benny, I don't mean to be really harsh, but I want to be a decent kind of rugby man as well. But would it be good for English rugby, honestly, if they won a wooden spoon? Like, is English... I know I'm not taking the piss, but like, is English rugby naked? Like, is it like the Emperor's New Clothes? Do someone have to start pointing and laughing and saying, for all your resources, for your brilliant league, you're miles off it, And like, you look what's going on in the club scene. We lost Worcester, Wasps, London Irish. You hear an awful lot of them are struggling. The club game, it just the grassroots level are at odds with the union, stuff like that. You wonder, does France have done it? They've changed the model. Does England need a massive wake-up call where they say, we need to be better?
Do you know what? You make some great points from the outside because there's some unrest. There's definitely from the grassroots level all the way up to the top, with the CEO and everything that's gone on there. There's definitely a little bit of unrest in terms of like the style, the way England played, because I think, to go back a year, which is sad, but, Ireland at home, for instance, England looked like they had, from what a stuttery tournament to actually, okay, they're moving the ball a bit more. We're starting to see a bit more of an identity in terms of what they're trying to say. And I hate the word identity, but there was more ambition to what England were trying to do. And then I haven't really seen anything since that. So there is a lot of, I suppose, unrest. I think there is probably an element of England are not to the level of what my expectation is and what the public's expectation is. Because when you look at the player pool and you look at the talent, like it's still very strong.
Yeah, it's
And to
incredible.
harp on about 19, as you just mentioned there, but you're right, when you start listing those names, they're different caliber of players that England currently have in their squad. They don't have those personalities and those guys that just know how to win. So we've got some gold dust, without doubt. You look at your Alex Mitchells, you look at your Marcus Smiths, they can make things happen. Your Ben Earl is really pivotal for England, but they haven't been able to put it together. Where you look at Ireland, they're almost like the individuals shine on the back of the collective. You know, the way that they go about the way they style and they play and the tight shapes and the way they move the ball, like almost you look at some of the individuals and they're outstanding, but they're outstanding on the back of the collective. Where I look at England, it's like the individuals aren't brilliant on the back of the collective. They just have moments on their own, but the collective hasn't helped them do that. And I think that's where this English team is probably, if I take a snapshot at the start of the tournament to the end of the tournament, I'd love to see a way more cohesive team where the individuals thrive on the back of the collective team performance rather than relying on a bit of gold dust from Mitchell or Marcus, of course.
Listen, pressure's on Borthwick, and particularly England first up, then France. Like, it's a pretty tough ask for him. But listen, if he can pull that off and England finish second in the group or top, like you said, Lenny, then screw you.
Your big games against Scotland, though, they always kick you around the place, isn't it?
Yeah, well, Scotland
right.
normally the last few years win and then they just completely fall to bits after it, mate. So I'm not worried about Scotland, but I
there
think,
you go.
do you know what? It's just how you look at it, Tommy. And I agree, mate, because on paper you look and you think that's a really tough start to a tournament, but then you think, well, do you know what? We're in it. Let's go. You know, like it is like no game's easy in the Six Nations. After first round, only 3 teams can win a Grand Slam after round 1. So it's just, mate, for me, I love this tournament. And do you know what? Like, because you say you win in the Aviva, you go there and you do the business. I mean, the mood on the back of that is huge, right? If England don't win in the Aviva, it's not awful because the expectation was that they wouldn't anyway. So I think they've got a bit of...
That's so sad, man. That's so sad for English rugby.
I think externally there isn't. You know, there isn't.
I know, but I'm just looking at you with it, like the powerhouse that English rugby should be.
The arrogance of English rugby. Like, it is mad, Lenny, because over the years you would have been part of that team. Like, you've 120 odd caps, right? Like, so you've been there through the...
Tommy.
Sorry?
I said 127, be respectful.
Apologies. Well, listen, when you get to that number, it doesn't really matter. But like, you've been through the arrogant English where we just come to dominate, and you're going, you know, been through this new phase as well. So it is really interesting to see. And listen, that's the way teams go, but certainly with England. Like, can I ask you then, because we mentioned Eddie Jones at the top of it, like he was a character who came into the England squad. Tell us the story of what he said to you when he first saw you.
Cool. Yeah, Eddie, he was. And do you know what? He's another guy that brought a lot of he brought a lot of attention to the tournament, you know? Like he'd come out and do these press conferences and all of it was all part of just protecting the team anyway. He sort of did the Jose Mourinho where he'd come out and say these absolute curveballs and cause chaos. And the whole week, because he knew the English media, like the whole week they're scrambling around wanting more of Eddie, talking about that, and not one mention of the team or the game. Yeah. And by that point, we could go out and do our thing without being distracted. But the first time I met him, basically, we'd obviously had a disaster in 2015, knocked out a home World Cup. Thought this is it, you know. Team gets
World Cups are overrated anyway, Ben.
Yeah.
We're Irish. We've no interest in World Cups.
Actually. Yeah, you guys know exactly the feeling. So yeah, got a message saying when you turn up, can you go pop and see Eddie? Just go see him at any point. So give him a knock at the door. Come in, mate. And so I walk in. He goes, "Oh, Benny, nice to meet you." Because I hadn't met him at this point. I only spoke to him on the phone. So first time face to face, and we're sitting down. He gets to take a seat, and he's in his office, and he's chatting away. And he's like, "What do you reckon to this?" And you know, this. I've been watching your games, and back and forth. And I'm thinking, this is going well. You know, this is nice. Heard some stories about him, but nice. This seems all right. You know. And he goes, "Mate, you know, one of the things I want, you know, this English team is play with speed. You know, do you reckon you can play with speed?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I reckon I can, you know, help with that." So I like to tap and go, and you know, I can inject a bit of thingies. Nah, mate, I'm thinking ruck to ruck, and I was like, yeah. He goes, "Are you sure, mate?" So I'm thinking, right, wait, like, you know, Alarm bell starts playing. I'm thinking, where's this headed? He goes, mate, what's your weight at the moment? I was like 93 kilos at the time or something. I said 93. He goes, mate, that's way too heavy. You're fat. I need you to lose some weight. He goes, do you like sweets? I was like, well, I'm more of a chocolate man, but like, I don't mind sweets and things like that. Mate, I need you to cut it. I need you 89 kilos in like 10 days. Do you reckon you can do it? I was like, well, I can do that. And anyway, he's like, good on you, mate. You do that, mate. You'll be in the team. And then I was like, okay, this is just the most randomest meeting anyway. So I shook his hand. He goes, oh, before you go, do you want any of these? And he pulled out this massive like box of sweets. And I said no. And he said, mate, that is a great start. I'll see you this afternoon at training. And that was it, mate. Walked out. I was just like, right. So, you know, straight away you go and speak to other lads. You're like, how's your one-on-one? You know, like, how did you get on? They're like, oh, yeah, it's fine. How was yours? I was like, yeah, fine, but like proper random. Like,
Came out with a couple of packets of Haribo's if anybody wants them.
Here you go.
Next minute, I'm in the sauna in a watt bike, mate, trying to shift 4 kilos.
Mike Ross, the tight head prop, beat me in a bleep test. That's a personal low for me as well. So yeah,
Tommy, I thought mine was bad, but that's a whole new level.
Are you joking, man? Mike Ross couldn't run.
Oh, no, okay. Well,
He
I'll tell you
walked
this
from
quickly.
scrum to scrum.
I was at I got married. It was before the World Cup in 2015. Got married, went to Maldives for the honeymoon, and there's not really anywhere to run in the Maldives. Like I was running on the beach, ruining people's like beautiful photos of them kissing the sunset. So I'm trying to lift a few tree branches, trying to get a bit of weights done. Wow. So landed back into Ireland pre-season. The first week was. Oh, it was the worst week of my life. My God. Joe Schmidt, we had like 150s. You had to run to the far line and back in. Joe Schmidt had to start moving my cone in to like 90 metres and 80 metres. And literally Mike Ross, the prop, is beating me. The physios had to come in and say to Joe Schmidt, listen, we need to pull him out because he looks like he's going to injure himself. So, yeah. Listen, your podcast, Love of Rugby with Dan Cole, absolutely hilarious Coley as well.
Great
like you've had
podcast.
some unbelievable guests. Iona Maher, the Sevens player, the American TikTok star. She's now at Bristol. You've had John Schmidt, you've had Conor Murray, you've had Joe Marley, you name it. You've had
Do you know what I love about your podcast?
Royalty.
You're brilliant, Benny, at chatting about rugby. Like, we go off topic. We spend most of the time here chatting about the traitors. Whereas at least if you listen to Love Rugby, you're going to hear a bit about it.
It's
No,
what people
cheers,
want to
guys.
hear.
No, well, I love what you guys are doing as well. So, no, it's good. It's good fun. Enjoy it. You can listen it on wherever you get your audios from. We're on YouTube as well. So it's been good crack. As I say, we all love the game, boys. So it's nice to talk about it. Isn't it?
Look at that. He's talked to us for like 20 minutes and he's talking about the crack. Lenny, chat to you soon, mate. All the best.
Good on you.
Cheers, gents. Thanks for having me.
Thanks a million. Didn't know he was such a De Bruyne fan, but we'll take that, huh?
I know what's that all about, honestly. I didn't know. What's that picture behind you?
Yeah, that is of Fascinate down in West Cork.
Okay, well, this is what I have.
Yeah.
The Ballygowan water. Happy days.
There you go.
Keep them happy. Listen, enjoy the match, Dunners. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, go well, Tommy. Mind yourself.